Welcome to the Hired Not Fired podcast, brought to you by The Real Me, the soft skills first talent solution that helps employers hire entry-level employees with better developed soft skills, such as communication, problem solving, or emotional intelligence. Join us as we sit down with hiring managers, talent leaders, and others and get insider tips to help Gen Z stand out and get hired. Let's dive in. Welcome back to part 2 of our conversation with Chelsea Vallilee from Fastenal. In episode 1, we covered what recruiters really look for from entry-level candidates. Hint, it's not just your resume. Chelsea broke down the importance of personality, coachability, soft skills, and even the underrated art of a good handshake. We also tackled some Gen Z workplace myths and talked about how getting involved early sets you up for long-term success. Now in episode 2, we're taking it further. Chelsea shares her take on AI-generated resumes and cover letters, what works, what definitely doesn't work, and how to make your application feel authentic. Plus, if you're a new grad with no formal experience, don't worry. Chelsea's got actionable tips that help you stand out and build a network that opens doors. Let's get into it. Now, what do you think of AI in job applications? We know that AI is writing cover letters, it's writing resumes. What's your take on that?
You know, I think that if you're using it as a tool, I don't think that's a bad thing. But you really need to be careful and you need to practice before you have it spit out your cover letter. So you really need to have some of the biggest points, and when you have it do a cover letter, you have to go back and edit that and check for flow. You should be reading it out loud and make sure it sounds like it could have come out in your voice. I think that's where students really are lacking because they just say, "Oh, well, AI did it for me. I don't have to do anything to it." I'm like, well, that doesn't sound like something you would say. So why don't you adjust it to your language so that when someone reads it and then meets you, they can put those two things together?
Yeah, that's great advice. One of the problems with resumes and cover letters, whether they're written by the candidate or by ChatGPT, is at the end of the day, it's still just words on paper. People can say anything. I've got the most amazing people skills and coachability ever. Um, how how can you take that to the next level to get a more authentic take on their soft skills? Would seeing evidence of soft skill learning, such as taking courses, having a certificate or a badge that they can show, would that impact how you can assess their soft skills and readiness for an entry-level candidate?
I think it certainly could. Here's the deal. Anytime you spend time dedicating to a certification, we're gonna look upon that favorably because you were dedicated to bettering yourself in a specific area, especially because our business is so person to person. 71% of our 24,000 people work face to face with the customer. So those soft skills are so incredibly important to build relationships and build rapport and really continue to move our business and our customers forward. It's one of those things that anytime you can tell me, like, I challenged myself to be the presenter for our class project. If you put that on your resume, I'm going to say, hey, how did that presentation go? How did you feel about that? How did you prepare yourself? You're giving me an idea of you pushed yourself outside of your comfort zone and you said, I pushed myself to do this, but also how did it go? I want to know. You don't necessarily have to tell me on paper how it went because I'm going to ask you, like, what was the result? Did you guys get an A on that project?
That's great. I love that. Now, how can a new grad without professional experience stand out to get hired? In addition to maybe some of the things you just said, I understand that might be some overlap there.
I think there's two things that are really important for a new grad. Did you spend time in college building your network? That means getting connected with people that you don't know through LinkedIn, but getting connected with your professors. Your professors can be some of your biggest advocates in your career if you build a good relationship with them. So I think building that network, taking the time, getting yourself outside of your comfort zone by reaching out to people you don't know and reaching out to companies and saying, hey, the role that you have currently is the one that I really hope to have in the next 10 years. Would you be willing to spend 15 minutes on a Zoom call with me and just talk to me about your career path? So you've got to be willing to put yourself out there. And I think the other piece of it with a new grad, if you weren't able to get an internship, they are very competitive. So we understand not everybody can get a hold of an internship. Do that volunteer work. Pick something that could relate to your industry or that's very community focused. Get involved and do that volunteer work. And you can show that you dedicated time when there was no money involved. You were willing to give your time and your energy and your dedication to an organization to help better your community. We're going to look on that favorably because that is, in essence, really job experience.
Wow, that's wonderful advice. Very valuable. What other advice might you have for new grads looking to get hired? Is there anything that we haven't talked about?
Yes. So I think one of the most important things that I tell students that I talk to, and I mean, I'm literally every year I connect with at least 2,000 students. So I have a QR code that I do when I'm on campus, and I have students reach out all year long. I'm connecting with students all over Texas and Louisiana, and I'm part of a bigger team that covers the entire United States. I think it is really, really important for students to understand you do not have to have it all figured out. You're going to change directions probably multiple times during your career. You're going to have to pivot, and you're going to have to give yourself some grace when you have to learn new things. I think it's really important to understand that you don't have to have it figured out, and there is no end, because you're going to be evolving and learning your entire life. So it's okay to change directions if you get to a point where you're not necessarily happy and you think that there's something better for you.
I love that. Yes, lifelong learning. That is a part of our part of life, and adaptability and learnability. Those are skills I hear you saying are really valuable in helping in that journey.
Absolutely.
So, is there anything else you'd like to add? You've given so much valuable tips and advice. I know listeners are getting a lot out of this. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think for students, just to put yourself out there, really do your best to put yourself in situations where you're not comfortable, so that the more often you're in those situations, the easier it gets.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chelsea.